Hello, my friends. Welcome to Doing Life Together, episode 22. It is good to be with you. All right. And I just want to first open by saying thank you. A number of you reached out and really just spoke some loving, kind words after last week's episode, and it meant a lot. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I just pray that this conversation is helping you in some way, or maybe you know someone who it can help. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Sonia Eckel, and I am the host of Doing Life Together, and we are on episode 22. Episode 21, we talked about something that is one of the hardest things that I've faced in my life, and it was the passing of my baby brother to suicide. And so I knew that last week I tried to keep these to about 20-25 minutes, and I knew I just didn't have time to cover it all. So tonight I'm coming on a little bit later from this beautiful hotel suite, and I'm on the Norwex incentive trip. So I know I get to see many of you here. Cannot wait. All right. Let's dive in on something, and we'll see how this goes. In the past, when I have shared this story, it literally, when I share it, it feels as raw as the day it happened, which is interesting. But I will just say, I want to speak life and love into you and your life, no matter what you're facing. And most of us have faced grief at some point, and I didn't understand grief. I had grieved my grandparents and things like that, but I didn't. I had a lot to learn, and I was thankful for friends who helped me along the way. Okay. So if you know somebody who you think this would be helpful, be sure to just share it with them. I pray it will be a blessing to them. All right. So we'll go back just for a minute to when I heard the news of Shane's passing. I had just felt like my heart was ripped in pieces. I've not experienced that level of heart pain prior to that. And for those of you who know me, and those of you who don't know me, I'll just tell you this. I actually feel life deeply in my heart. Like that's how I do life, is I do it from here. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of all I remember knowing, at least in my later years. And after Shane's passing, I was absolutely heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. And then 3 months after that, I got a call from my father, and he shared that my mother had passed away. She'd been in a car accident, and something happened at that point. First of all, the shock, the absolute shock. And my mom and I were close, and we did a lot of life together, which I'm so grateful for. Do life with all your loved ones. Don't miss a moment. But what happened was something that I didn't expect. My heart went numb. And I was just going through the motions, and I really didn't know what to do with it. And I had this lovely friend, if you're watching this, you know who you are, who was sending me these series of grieving books that said, you got to feel the emotions, and it's normal to go through these stages of grief. And I read every single one of them, and just so grateful. I couldn't figure out, though, how I could feel again. Like it was, and finally, I came to the end of myself, and I just cried out to God. I said, God, you've got to help me. I can't live like this. I don't know how to live in this place where I can't do life from here anymore. It's like I was just numb. I was just going through the motions. And so that was my urgent prayer and ask. So fast forward just a little bit. I honestly don't know time frame, but I was sitting in my office, and as many of you know, I run a very full, amazing Norwex business. And so I was sitting in my office going through the motions of doing what I do, and the phone rang. And I looked at that phone, and I thought, oh, I didn't even want to answer it. And when I picked it up, at the other end was somebody saying, hi, it's so-and-so from such and such. You paid for our program, and with it, you get a free coaching call. And we noticed you never redeemed your free coaching call. My first thought was, I know what this is about. They're going to sell me more coaching calls. Like, I know this. And I just wasn't very excited. But there was this voice in me that was like, but Sonia, you've been praying. And here's what I've learned about life. Once I get to the point of praying it out to the Lord, then he very often uses people to bring about the answer to that prayer. And so I said yes to this coaching call, even though everything in me wanted to say no. I did that call. I bought some more coaching calls. Who knows why? Did my coaching calls and was talking about my business and whatever. And I got to one coach and I was telling him kind of just my goals, my vision. He goes, "Can I just stop you a second?" I said, "Sure." He said, "I can tell that you built your business from your heart." I said, "Yeah, I know, I did." He said, "But you're not in your heart anymore. You're definitely not in your heart anymore. You're in your head." And I said, "I know." Like I totally knew he was spot on, but I said, "I don't have a clue how to get back to my heart. I don't even like help me. I have no idea." He says, "Tell me more. Why did you move out of your heart?" And I began to weep. And I shared with him what had been happening. And he listened as a good coach. And he said, "Oh, I see why you moved out. Because there's a lot of pain and hurt and loss and grief there. But if you ever want to feel and live again from the love and the joy that built your business, that built your life, you're going to have to move back in and experience and deal with the pain that's there." And something about just him saying it like that, I said, and I did like what I do, right? I said, "Okay, tell me how. Like, how am I supposed to do that?" He said, no, it's not a how. He said, You'll know when it's time." And I'm sorry. I absolutely despise crying, especially on video. So I'm so sorry. So I was actually driving to pick up my sister at the airport, and suddenly it came on, this intense grief. But instead of shoving it down once again, thinking I don't have time for this, and I don't know, I don't even think I meant to shove it down. But what he had told me is, when it comes, don't fight it. Don't stuff it this time. Just let it be. Thank you, friend. And so in that moment, I let it come. I let it come fully. And I began to just talk aloud to God. And I began to say, "I'm so sorry, Shane. I'm so sorry that as your big sister, I didn't see this. I'm so sorry." And then in that moment, I realized how angry I was at Shane for ever putting his family through that. And I just had a moment where finally I could say, "I forgive you, Shane. Oh, I forgive you." And I began to experience these emotions that didn't feel like I should experience them. I talked to God. I said, "Oh, God, I was so mad at you. You could have stopped it. You're God. You're God of the universe. You could have kept this." And anyway, so it was painful. But in the midst of it, so much healing happened. In that moment, it was a miracle healing. in fact. And I had felt like I had a giant hole in my heart. Like literally, my great grandmother lived to be 106 years old, and I don't know, she was like 98 or something. At some point, close to the end of her years, they did a scan on her heart, and they found out that she had a hole in her heart. And so they called in all the kids. Oh, grandma's got a hole in her heart. Everyone needs to come in. And I just thought, she lost a son in a war. She lost a baby on the ship over from Holland. I thought, I know why she had that hole in her heart. That's how I felt. My heart was like, I have a hole in my heart. Like, it was the craziest thing. And in that drive, God miraculously healed my heart. Like, it was the most incredible thing. And by the time I picked up my sister, I just was praising him and telling her, and like, oh my goodness, like this thing has happened. But it wasn't easy. Like, it was intense, but it really just helped me. And so I'm sharing this in case it's helpful to anybody else, because I just didn't know. I didn't know what to do, how to get through it. And yes, I was stuffing it. But I just want to speak hope over all of you who have faced grief, will face grief, whatever it is. I just encourage you to experience those emotions. And if you feel the way I felt, like there's no way you can get into your heart, what I learned through that experience is I had people share with me when I would be like, come from here. And I had some people go, Sonia, I have no idea what you're talking about, this whole come from here. Like, they literally, because I did build my business from my heart, and I serve and I love, and that's been huge. And I realized in the midst of that, I really began to have a understanding. And so I just want to speak to any of you who are like, I don't have a clue what you're talking about, Sonia. Like, trauma, it doesn't have to be the loss of a loved one. It doesn't have to be a tragic death. Like, trauma, big T, little t, all the T's. I think that when there is hurt and harm that has happened to you and your heart felt unsafe to live there, I think we can move out. But I just want to invite you guys to move back in. And I just know for me, it was life-giving to get back to actually being able to feel love and joy again. And I realized those things, those dwelled in my heart, not my head. So, oh my goodness, yes, I'm seeing all of your words. Thank you. And just thinking of so many of you who have experienced loss. So there. Okay. That's really just what I wanted to share. I'm trying to think if there was something else. It was quite a journey, and God taught me a ton through it. When Shane passed, the Holy Spirit, it pressed Romans 8:28 on my heart. And I don't remember if I shared that last week. And I was so mad at God. Oh, I was just like, no, there's absolutely no way that you could take something this terrible and ever work it together for good. But you know what? God takes what the enemy meant to take us out, to, as John 10:10 says, to steal, kill, destroy, I don't know if I quoted that right, but anyway, he takes that when we bring it to him, and he will work together for goodness and to bless others. And so anyway, I hope this just speaks life or hope into your life. Honestly, maybe you don't need it right now. And that's even more beautiful. Like, I don't ever wish tough things on anyone. And I just pray protection over your family, over your loved ones. I pray over anybody who is being attacked by a spirit of death or suicide. Oh, bring it to the Lord. Take it to prayer. Come have people pray over you to cast that off. That's not God's will for you. It absolutely is not. So I just pray for that. But yeah, so if you just know if there's somebody who needs to hear this, that it might be a blessing, please feel free to share it. And past episodes should be at doinglifetogether.live. And that'll just bring you to the past episodes if you want to go back to last week's. Okay. All right. Okay, now next week, don't look at my hair right now. This is beach wind walking hair. But I've had people ask, like, I made a transition from using hot iron on my hair all the time and doing different things. And I in 2018, actually in the wake of grieving Shane and my mom's death, which then put me into quite a state, my hair began to pay for it from the stress and probably the lack of nutrition and whatever else. And so I began to have breakage. And at that point, I had to shift how I treated my hair. And so next week, I am just going to share for anyone who cares. We're doing life together. We're all over the board, but I'm going to be just sharing some tips for you if, especially you curly girls and guys, like I had to learn how to embrace my curls instead of, fight them, I guess, essentially. So I'll share some tips about that next week if that's helpful, or if you know some curly girls or some curly guys. Like I have sons with curly hair, so it's been fun to watch them navigate that as well. And by the way, I just have to say a super happy birthday to the boy who made me a mom. Jake, I love you so much. Happy 21st birthday. And so celebrating these young men as they grow up, and just beyond blessed that God called me to be their mother. So, all right. God bless you all. And I will plan to see you next week. And those of you who are here on the Norwex trip, come find me, give you a big old hug and say, hey. All right. God bless you, my friends, and we will see you soon.